Alright, I thought I'd do a little quick update of some of the stuff I've done this week on this project with the do-it-yourself memorials. I asked the family for this Porter cable tile cutter. It's pretty well reviewed on YouTube and on Amazon by professionals who use it. And the one nice feature about it is, so I've been buying, 1 square foot granite tiles, and this thing cuts it it takes maybe 30 seconds to make this cut, and works really well. I'll get the model number here. PCE 980. So you can check that out if you're interested. So I've been using this gun. It actually works pretty well. And I've been using these 1364, which is about 3/16 nozzles, but over time the abrasive kind of widens out both the incoming end and the outgoing end. Now this is closer to 5/16, so that's too wide of an opening. You don't get the kind of velocity out with the media to do the kind of deep blasting that you need. So I switched to a slightly different gun and got back down into the 3/16 size. This is a ceramic nozzle. I'm sure it's going to have the same problem of getting worn out in a while, but these are pretty inexpensive replacements. But since I've been using this on the granite, I make a much deeper cuts quicker. So I've been using about this size bucket, which when it was filled up with the brand new media held like 2/3 full of this, so quite a bit. Dumped it all in the hopper down there to start. Everything was fine. Eventually, because you're running the vacuum and this dust deputy, you'll eventually run real low on the media down there, and you get interrupted because it won't be sucking much up. So I dumped out what was in the hopper down into the bucket below, sifted it. Then I also took the dust deputy, and it had probably half of what was in here that ended up in there. And then when I sifted that through my sifter, which this actually worked pretty good, I had virtually no debris, just the slightest little pieces of debris. So I'm really impressed with this dust deputy. But that's just one thing to keep in mind when you get low on your media. Test your system there, and that's where it is. You load it back up again, then you're good to go for a few weeks. One of the other things that I worked on was on your plotter or your cutter. I use the Cricut cutter, taking a variety of different fonts, and with the same set of letters, in this case it's 10 letters, and they're all 1.5 inches high. What is the width? How many letters, or I should say how many inches, can you get across? Because you're going to have cases where you're going to have people with names that have a lot of letters, so you may have to take into account what a particular font choice is going to do. So this was kind of my little shopping list for fonts, what they look like, and how well 10 letters get packed. Then you can see in the case here with this particular font, the J, and this one here, the J falls below the line. So if you're looking at line after line, what kind of interference you might have based on the kind of font you pick. And so based on this, I put together a little spreadsheet for myself where I take like the top one here with the Times New Roman. If it's a bold, how many inches does it take for 10 letters if each letter is 1.5 inches tall, and whether it has this drop J aspect or not. and then kind of went down the line with the variety of that I got on my system here. You can obviously download a lot of different fonts, but the ones I have in my system just kind of give me an idea of the ones that work and don't work. The other issue I had was this, what I call the conflict, where if you take here, you see how close the N and the X is. So if you're going to build a stencil, or even here where they actually overlap, so that may not be a good choice, because even though it may have some other aspects that you like, you might have these letters that are actually conflicting with each other unless you space out each letter a little bit in your software. So I would suggest if you're going to do a similar thing, you kind of go through the same exercise on your machine, kind of see where you sit. It's like doing a little bit of homework at a time, because you're going to run into people that have names with a lot of letters in them. So this one here on the second to last line, I just went out on the internet and said, well, what are the kind of fonts that the professionals use? And they brought up this Century Gothic, which is pretty plain, but it's got some good characteristics when it comes to doing stenciling compared to some of these other ones that are a little fancier, and you might have this risk of the overlap problem or the drop J problem. So I thought I would do one of my sample designs with this Century Gothic font and see how that turned out. So this is the one I'm working on that's got the Century Gothic, and I got my better nozzle on the gun, and I am, again, what I mentioned in the last video, I want to go a little deeper and see how things turn out there. So that definitely worked better. I had no problem with the stencil coming loose or anything by going deeper. And so I've only got one light coat, one medium coat on it now, so we'll do another couple coats and then we'll see what it looks like. Alright, I got this version done with the Century Gothic font, and things were blasted deeper. Things come out nice and sharp. So I think this is my new go-to font. Look how clear and crisp that is. And of course, you always find something. So you notice something here? Look at how the R and the T came together. I didn't catch that when I was laying out the stencil. What you can do in most of the software, you can increase just a little bit the spacing between letters. So this might be a little bit too compacted, but that's something to look out for. Otherwise, I don't know. Everything's looking great. What do you think? Thanks for watching.